Guten Morgen, meine Freunde, and welcome to the show where the future is unwritten, the present an illusion, and the past is a foreign country. To celebrate our 10th edition, I thought I might look at the most recent ARIA Top 10 and see how it compares to those giants of yore. So ready yourself for the Top 10 from March 15th, 2021. In at number 10 we have Levitating by Dua Lipa. This song itself is great, a real 70s style disco stomper, and she's a more than adequate singer. But then, in the middle of it, where old crusty me can hear a Ray Parker style rock tinged guitar solo, there comes this absolute clown of a rapper who defecates over the whole song with his irrelevant lame-assery. And you can never quite get back into the groove of it once he's gone. Get rid of him and you've got something you'd put on your playlist. Can anyone explain to me why this has to happen? Number 9 is Save Your Tears by The Weeknd. Another pretty good early 80s style dance record. The singer is fair enough. The whiff of auto-tune haunts him, but he seems to hold his own in the sections without it. Is The Weeknd the name of the band or the name of the singer? I don't care much for the ending of the video, but we're not here to review that, and there's no subpar talent crashing the middle of the song to drag it down. Nice work, Weeknd. Third on our list, or 8th, depending on the way you look at things, I guess we should call it number 8 for consistency, is Cover Me in Sunshine, an unobjectionable ballad sung unobjectionably by chart veteran Pink and her in no way a fashion accessory like some certain other people's daughter. My only issue is I can't help but think the song sounds like another song, but I have no idea what one. Any thoughts, my bopping chart popsters out there? Following the rules of numerical ordinance, something anyone who makes presentations on the top 10 has to take very seriously, we come to number 7, the famous rapper Drake and his hippie hoppy rapidy rap song What's Next. Drake is extremely boring. He rattled on incomprehensible gibberish to a, I'm making the inverted commas with my fingers here, beat that sounds like it was made on Acid Studio by a 7-year-old. Apparently this style is called trap. As someone who doesn't pay much attention to lyrics, there's really not much else to hook into on this song. I guess we should all be thankful he didn't try to do Who's Next and stuck to What's Next. In at number 6 is Travis Scott and Hume's Goosebumps, which sounds pretty good for the first 30 seconds and then becomes very boring indeed for the next 2 minutes. It's not terrible, but I don't really know why anyone would buy it. He's no Biggie Smalls in the flow department, and his lyrics are kind of, well, like what that 7-year-old would write after they finished working on the beat for the preceding Drake song. Not having any facts to share about this music I know and frankly care so little about, I thought I'd just share some overall trivia about the physical era on my hometown charts. The longest persisting single at number 1 is quite unaccountably Fernando by ABBA. Given that I'd choose almost every other hit ABBA had above Fernando, that's just mysterious. It hung in at the top for 14 weeks. Other long malingering number 1s were Hey Jude, which had 13 weeks, Mull of Kintyre, which pestered us for 11, Mamma Mia by ABBA and Eagle Rock, which had 10 weeks on high, and The Last Waltz by the already maligned Engelbert Humperdinck, You're the One That I Want for Greece, and the mawkish We Are the World, the first song to be simultaneously number 1 in the US, UK and Australia, all spent 9 weeks sneering down at all the wannabes and used-to-bes beneath them. The longest running album at number 1 is The Sound of Music, which spent an unbelievable at least 76 weeks on top. The other longest running albums at number 1 include Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits, I don't know why either, for 34 weeks, Sgt. Pepper's for 30, Hot August Night for 29, in 1974, immediately after we introduced no-fault divorce in Australia, after the family home, the most contested item in divorces was the copy of Hot August Night. The children were contested less than Hot August Night. Delta Goodrum's Innocent Eyes spent 29 weeks at number 1, the soundtrack to Hair for 28, and John Farnham's legendary Whispering Jack had 25. First entry in an unchanged top 5 this week is Little TJ and Six Lack, which I imagine is stylized as black, with the anemic Calling My Phone. Lil TJ's voice is slathered in so much auto-tune he sounds like an adenoidal Dalek, whining and droning to the point where you just want to give him a slap and tell him to get his shit together. And he's got one of those annoying pube beards. Ugh. There's, I think, a girl singer, or it may be Lil TJ pitch shifted up like 15 tones, and in which case I've misgendered him, who fairly warbles with auto-tune as she, he, whatever, repeats a, making the inverted commas with my fingers again, hook ad nauseum. Black is at least a listenable, if D-grade rapper. This is starting to get grim. Number 4 is The Business from superstar DJ Tiesto. We owe the Dutch for many wonderful things. The microscope, the girl with the pearl earring, the orangeness of carrots and Johan Cruyff. And to that list we can now add Tiesto, who apparently earns $250,000 a night for his DJing efforts. Doing what, may I ask? Again, here's a song that sounds like it was assembled using any generic sequencer. It has no discernible tune, no apparent interaction between instruments, no harmonic variation. It does have lyrics, but sung in a soporific voice that you can't remember a minute after you hear them. The best that can be said for it is one of the zombies in the video is quite a good dancer. Not as bad as Calling My Phone, but a different kind of bad nonetheless. And so it is with some trepidation that I go forward to number 3, Aussie darling the Kid Laroi. I wish I hadn't. So here we have an Australian Taylor Swift, a posh kid with industry connections, but with a nougatry fraction of Swift's actual talent, and even her flashes of relatable charm. He just comes off as a pissant. Apparently he was friends and a protege of Juice WRLD. If you're not up on your dead rappers, Juice WRLD was the idiot who decided the best way to hide his stash of Percocet pills was to swallow them, which didn't go well, hence me referring to him as a dead rapper. Sweary, whiny, auto-tuney, Laroi has little to offer in the form of his repetitive tune. It boasts 4 songwriters and 6 engineers, which seems about right for these days, and his vocals are on life support. But this isn't the worst thing you'll hear on this list, which is not a solid recommendation. The Buzz Aldrin of this week's charts is Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, a young lady who can't seem to make up her mind whether she is the new Taylor Swift or the new Billie Eilish, being nowhere as good as the former and luckily not really as dreadful as the latter. The song is a hyper-emotional ballad about, I don't know, being 17 and having your heart broken and having some kind of social anxiety. I'm tempted a little to call phony on this. It just seems a little too deliberately crafted and pitched to be the kind of real, raw confessional records, there's those inverted commas with my fingers again, record that it's touted to be. Teased as it was on social media by an established Disney star, and despite the bedroom pop aesthetic, a gun producer, songwriter in Dan Nigro was brought in to craft it, and one is never sure how much writing or editing a hired gun songwriter might do. They say they do that twee bedroom pop is the new hip hop. Maybe that's a good thing. It would certainly be more representative of women in the industry. Hip hop has pretty much dug its own grave there, but you still don't need any more discernible talent to make a record in either genre. Here's the thing, only 4 of the songs in the top 10 actually had any credited musicians, which means 6 of them took about as much effort to make as the backing track that I put behind this narration, and less effort than the opening theme because at least I played a guitar on it. Maybe we don't need to care about it, but to my mind thinking that's one of the chief reasons that all chart music sounds much of a muchness to older listeners these days. Sgt. Pepper's, for its 30 weeks at number 1, was made by combining 150 different instruments. An album by this young lady might use 6, and they would be exactly the same 6 Drake used, and Lil TJ, and Kid Laroi. I'm going to have a lie down before I frazzle my foo-foo valve. But, still one to go. So here we have it, the number 1 record for the city, ordinarily in the sun, but today blanketed by spitty, spotty rain, for March 15th, 2021. Number 1 is Heat Waves by Glass Animals, a band who do play instruments and sing largely without auto-tune, but the song is deeply average, exactly the kind of bland and mushy thing you expect to top the Triple J Hottest 100, although without the tokenist representation and the arrant virtue signalling of recent years. Swathes of synths over an untroubling melody and lyrics that don't impose themselves on the mind and set out simple scenarios for simple 16-year-olds. Apparently this was once a band of some promise, but it is hard to see it being exercised here. And what did we learn? Well, there are some good records here. Lose the Crummy Rapper from Levitating, and it's great, and The Weeknd is pretty good too. Pink isn't too awful, and the number 1 might pass if you heard it in the background at a shopping mall, but too much of it just seems lazy. Well-marketed artists targeted to an uncritical audience has never known what the experience of viscerally involving itself with music is like. So the worthlessness of the top 40 perpetuates my other pet musical hate. It empowers old farts with strong brand identification, their best work 40 years behind them, to still sell on their brand and their credibility to an audience that has no stake in either the top 40 or seemingly looking for replacement acts of their ilk. Is there any hope? No. Hip-hop will come and go to the irresistible marketing role behind teenage girls and their bedroom pop, but we won't notice, because we live in the past, which is a foreign country. And with that, we say goodbye to March 15th, 2021 and its super secret scoring algorithm score of 3.9 out of 10. Hand in our passports and head back to where the weather suits our clothes and the music suits our personal vibe. I'll see all y'all next week.